Hello all, my name is Maria. I am a Christian labor nurse and I have a desire and a heart to speak to pregnant ladies preparing for hospital birth. And I have a heart for preparing for birth in 3 different rhythms. And what I found to be true after doing labor and delivery for 15 years and trying to walk with God through that time, I've learned that I think there are some aspects to preparing for labor and birth that are mental, like we want to know about the place that we're delivering. I specifically speak to hospital birth, so I think that you should know the setting. Like the hospital is its own breed of birth. Like they do things very predictably, and I think as a nurse, our job is to be an advocate. So I want to help you learn about your environment. So I think learning about the setting of hospital birth and preparing for it mentally is a huge part of preparation. I also think that the second rhythm that I am passionate about is the gem that is sitting at your bedside, and that is your labor and delivery nurse. The hospital literally will assign you an advocate. She is highly educated, has tons of experience, and she has seen every type of birth, the good, the bad, the crazy, the blessings of birth, and also the tragedies of birth. She's seen all of those things, and she is sitting at your bedside, and as your story unfolds, she's able to guide you into what to expect next. And that is your labor and delivery nurse. And I don't think that hospitals do a good job of teaching you how to value her presence and how to get the most you can out of her being there. I say her, there are wonderful men, labor and delivery nurses as well, but I just say her for the simplicity facts, okay? The third aspect, and this is where my passion is, okay? This is like the sweet spot of what I want to communicate. The third aspect is preparing for birth spiritually. And what I mean by that is there is a level of patient angst that is there. Most people come in with anxiety about their labor, delivery, and birth, and it is so common. We see it all the time, and it is 100% warranted. You're walking through something that is unknown. Maybe you've never done it before. Maybe this birth is different from your previous births for whatever reason. Maybe you have a medical diagnosis that you're not really sure what this is going to look like now, and it's forced you into this place that's unfamiliar. And what I want to speak to you about is that place that's unfamiliar is actually an opportunity. It is a small piece, a short segment of time in your life where you can hyper-focus in one direction. So you're going to be hyper-focused on your pregnancy and your labor and delivery and your birth. And so what I want to do is, during this time of hyper-vigilance, when you're thinking about this area, I want to teach you how to walk through it with God. I literally want to teach you how to walk through it spiritually surrendered to that which you can't control. And I think there are amazing channels out there that have amazing information about the physiology of birth, positions, squat balls, birthing balls, spinning babies. All of that is absolutely wonderful. It's 100% valid, but that's not my space. My space is underneath that. If I peel off that patient sitting in the birth ball, what is she saying? What is she speaking to me with her words, with her angst, with her questions, with what she's saying? Is she telling me that she is resistant to what's happening? Or is she telling me that she's completely surrendered to that which is out of her control? And let me tell you, for the seasoned Christian, for the novice Christian, for somebody that has no religious church training at all, spiritual surrender is a difficult aspect to grasp. It's really difficult because it requires you to ask questions that are 100% spiritual. And when you ask those questions and you go deeper into your relationship with God, what you'll find is that birth balls and squat balls are valuable, but they're not going to fix the spiritual angst that is underneath that you're bringing to your birth. And that's where I want to come alongside of you. I want to help you to see that spiritual surrender is a conscious sort of working through. It's not a one and done sort of thing. It's a process that unfolds over time. And hopefully I can find you during your pregnancy so that we can go through some of these things so that when you come to your birth, you've answered the number one question: who is in control? Who is in control? Because you know what? What I've found over the years is it's not your medical team. They're not in control. I'll speak to that later. But they're not in control. They use their medical education to evaluate variables as they present themselves, and the education is valuable in that regard. But 100%, trust me, believe me when I say, we are not controlling this. Birth unfolds at its own pace, and there's always the unknown. And when we walk into the unknown, the spiritual question that you have to answer is, who is in control? So if it's not the medical team, is it you? Are you in control? Because let me tell you, I know that there's a lot of promises on the internet that you can have an empowering birth and can have fulfillment by controlling your destiny when it comes to birth. And I'm just here to tell you that my message is completely the opposite. Actually, you're gonna surrender not to me, not to doctors or nurses or medical care plans or any of those things. You're going to surrender to the element of birth, which itself presents a lot of variables, most of which is completely out of your control. So if you're not in control and I'm not in control, who is in control? And that's a spiritual question. That is not a physiological question. So I ask you today, who is in control of your birth? And as you're preparing for birth, what voices are you letting in? Who's speaking into your spirit when it comes to labor and delivery and birth? And if they're promising you control, I would double take on that one and stop and think, who is in control? And if I say it's God and I believe that, how am I going to move forward and prepare to walk through birth with God as my Lord?